Welcome back to Askewed Reviews. And since today is Batman Day, I decided to do a review for the 2022 film The Batman. Here is your trivia question for today. In this Batman film, they changed Martha Wayne's maiden name to what? The answer will be at the end of this episode. The film The Batman takes place in Gotham City, where we have one sole protector that is trying to make sure that the city is taken care of, and that is the Batman. Now, I know this is going to come as quite a shock to all of you, but the Batman is actually billionaire Bruce Wayne. Now, Bruce has become a vigilante due to the death of his Uncle Ben. Wait, nope, whoop, wrong superhero. Due to the death of his parents. Now, in present Gotham City, there is a villain who is trying to rid the city of corruption, although going about it in some pretty severe ways. At each of his crime scenes, he leaves notes and riddles for the Batman, for this villain is the Riddler. So both Bruce Wayne and Batman will have to work along with and deal with some of the people that live in Gotham City's underbelly if they ever want to discover what the Riddler is up to and if they can save Gotham City in time. The original working title for the film was Vengeance. Matt Reeves is the director and primary writer for the film. Now, before Matt Reeves' version of Batman, there was the plan to do one that was going to be part of the DC Universe main continuity. It was going to have Ben Affleck starring in it and directing it, since he was already working as the character of Batman in the previous films. The plan was also to have Joe Manganiello return as the character of Deathstroke and be the main villain for the story. It was also prominently going to be taking place at Arkham Asylum. Unfortunately, this all fell through. And then when Matt Reeves took over, he liked the idea, but wanted his movie to be more of a detective story. Reeves did in fact write the script with Robert Pattinson in mind as the character of Bruce Wayne / Batman, but he never thought that Pattinson would ever want to be in the film. He was also inspired by Kurt Cobain when writing the character of Bruce Wayne. He even listened to quite a bit of Nirvana, and this is probably one of the reasons why one of their songs appears in the film soundtrack. A lot of Reeves' inspiration for the Riddler actually came from the Zodiac Killer. Also, his version of the Penguin was inspired by Fredo from The Godfather. Now, as to where the majority of the story of this film came from, it was a collection of different Batman comics from Batman Year One, Batman The Long Halloween, Batman Ego, and Batman Zero Year. Movies that inspired Reeves when it came to his version of the film were Chinatown, All the President's Men, Clute, The French Connection, Taxi Driver, The Silence of the Lambs, and Seven. There was also potential of seeing a very different version of this film, as other possible directors were Denis Villeneuve, George Miller, Ridley Scott, Matt Ross, and Fede Alvarez. Robert Pattinson plays the characters of Bruce Wayne and Batman. In my opinion, his Bruce Wayne was okay, but I actually really did enjoy his Batman. During Pattinson's audition, he actually got to wear Val Kilmer's batsuit. His head was unfortunately a bit too big for the cowl, so he got to use George Clooney's cowl instead. Now, other actors that were also up for this role were Nicholas Hoult, Armie Hammer, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Alexander Ludwig, Jack O'Connell, and Jack Rayner. Zoe Kravitz plays the character of Selina Kyle / Catwoman. It was also her own idea to have the long, scary nails that would look like claws. This also wasn't the first time Kravitz would actually play Catwoman, as she did the voice for her in the Lego Batman movie. Now, other actresses that were also up for the role of Selina Kyle were Isa Gonzalez, Anna de Armas, Hannah John Kamen, Nathalie Emanuel, Alicia Vikander, Ella Balinska, Zazie Beetz, and Lady Gaga. Now, what's funny about those last two is that Zazie Beetz would actually appear in Joker, and Lady Gaga is going to be appearing in Joker Folie à Deux. Something that I find funny is that both Christian Bale and Michelle Pfeiffer gave Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz the advice of, make sure you can go to the bathroom while in costume. Paul Dano plays the character of the Riddler in this film, and though the Riddler is my favorite villain from the Batman Rogues Gallery, and this may not be my favorite incarnation, it's definitely one of my favorites as I really enjoyed his version. Barry Keoghan auditioned for the role of the Riddler. He didn't get that, but they apparently liked his acting enough that they put him in as the Joker. Mind you, you don't really see him much except for the deleted scenes, but it seems like he might be a bigger character in the future. Colin Farrell was absolutely transformed when playing the character of the Penguin. Farrell was actually put into a fat suit for the character, as during the pandemic he got really into working out. So much so that the crew had to ask him to stop because they kept having to resize the fat suit. It normally took 2 to 4 hours to get Farrell into costume, and what's really funny is his own children found him horrifying as the character. There were a few other actors that were potentially going to play the Penguin. Jonah Hill was offered it, but he wanted to play the Riddler, and since they wouldn't give that to him, he turned down the role of the Penguin. Seth Rogen was also up for it, and apparently Toby Jones as well. Now, as for the role of James Gordon, this was played by Jeffrey Wright. I did like him as the character, but it was just funny because he's got more of a Batman voice than Batman does, and Wright has actually voiced Batman previously. Another actor that was also up for Gordon was Mahershala Ali, which he apparently turned this down to do Marvel's Blade, which we're still waiting on. There's an actor I feel deserves a special mention, and that's John Turturro as the character of Carmine Falcone. I thought he did a great job in this. Now, here's an actor that I definitely think needs more screen time if there's a sequel, and that's Andy Serkis as the character of Alfred. Now, he wasn't the only actor up for this role, as apparently they almost offered it to Pierce Brosnan. Jay Lecirgo plays this hesitant gang member that's early on in the film, but did you know that he also plays the character of Tim Drake in the television series Titans? This is not the only time we would actually see in live action all of the characters of the Riddler, Catwoman, Penguin, and the Joker together. They also appeared in Batman the movie from 1966. Speaking of the Adam West Batman series, there are a couple of nods to that in this film. The character of Savage is actually originally from the Adam West Batman series. There's also a funny homage of a bust of William Shakespeare in Bruce Wayne's office, which of course would constantly appear in the old TV series, as that's how they would open up to the Bat poles. And just like the Batmobile from the Adam West version, this new one is supposed to look like a car that's just been retrofitted. There are some moments in this film where they allude to the possibility of some of Batman's rogues gallery appearing in future films. At one point, a reporter mentions that Thomas Wayne is accused of ordering the death of someone that has the last name Elliot. Thomas Elliot is Hush in the comics, and the word hush is shown on the screen when referring to hush money. There is a fan theory which has supposedly been debunked that they are alluding to Bane showing up at some point. Batman injects himself with something to get himself back into the fight. This is believed to be venom, which is a substance that turns Bane into the aggressive monster that he is. Now, Two-Face is never alluded to in this film, but apparently the character of Harvey Dent was originally in the script and potentially going to be played by either Oscar Isaac, Jack Houston, Jeremy Strong, or John David Washington. In case you wanted to know, this movie was filmed in Illinois, England, and Scotland. There is a sequel series coming to Max called The Penguin, which I believe is actually starting up right around the time of this video coming out. There were talks of a prequel series based off the Gotham City Police Department, but that ended up being dropped. There is, however, a prequel graphic novel called Before the Batman, an original movie novel. Now, currently I've been hearing that this might become a trilogy, and that in the sequel we might see characters like Robin, the Court of Owls, Calendar Man, Professor Pig, the Scarecrow, Mr. Freeze, and Clayface. But those last two seem a bit less likely, as Matt Reeves has said that he's trying to stray away from some of the more fantastical characters. So when it comes to the film The Batman, I did enjoy this movie, and I really liked the cinematography, the gothic feel, the casting, and the story. Now, mind you, the movie, in my opinion, is probably a bit too long, and they seem to be in love with everything being very dark. But I still liked it, so I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 5. Now it's time for the answer to the trivia question. In this Batman film, they changed Martha Wayne's maiden name to what? So in this film, apparently Martha did spend a little bit of time in her family's institute, which is known as the Arkham Institute, and that's correct. Her name in this film, at least her maiden name, was Martha Arkham. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Askewed Reviews, and if there's a movie you'd like to see get a review, just mention it in the comments.